So what does it mean to be awake spiritually? A spiritual awakening. Are we sleeping now? Is a materialistic person sleeping? Yes, in a sense. The material world is like a dream. The material life is like a dream because it's temporary. Just like when we sleep at night, the reality that we find ourselves in the dream is temporary. And similarly, when we are when we wake up in the material realm, our material duties and so forth, they're all temporary. But the spiritual duties are eternal. So after you leave this body, after death, your life continues. And you can wake up to that reality now and experience that eternal life now. And if you do, then you're sort of awake to your actual reality, right? So whatever situation we find ourselves in now is not actually our real situation. It's like a dream, I am a man. And, that's all temporary. The actual reality is that I'm a spiritual being, right? And this material world is a reflection of the spiritual world. So the same elements are there. There are also men and women there. But this is a perverted reflection of the spiritual reality. So everything there is different. Everything in the spiritual realm is based on love and selfless service. And everything in the material realm is based on lust and selfishness. So being spiritually awake, it means you start to experience your true spiritual nature as a spiritual being, experiencing the qualities of the soul, and being able to act in relationship with God, and being able to act with the people around you in relationship to God as well, helping each other to serve God like that. Yeah, the spiritual reality involves God, You can try to pursue a path of sort of impersonal spiritualism with the Om and so on and so forth, and meditating on light and various things. But ultimately, we're spiritual persons, actually. We're eternal persons. And we want to have relationships with other people. And we can have eternal spiritual relationships, even with those people in our lives right now, in this realm. But it involves God. So if you're someone that doesn't like the idea of there being God, then it's a different thing. Then your spiritual path is slightly different. You can go on that impersonal adventure, but ultimately it doesn't satisfy, because ultimately we're looking for love, and love is a spiritual thing. You cannot have a loving relationship with the light. You have a loving relationship with another person. And that person, it can be someone that you serve God with, or it can be God. And obviously it will be, God and all the people that are serving God. So those are all spiritual relationships. And so we can become spiritually awake to that reality. And that reality is an eternal reality, as opposed to the material reality, which is temporary, which is like a dream. It's compared to a dream because it's temporary. And it's not real. Something that's temporary doesn't have, it's considered not real because it doesn't ultimately exist. It will cease to be. So in comparison to eternality, anything that's temporary is kind of not real. it's real, but it's not real for us. It's not part of our eternal reality. And in the overall realm of, eternality, eternal time in that sense, any amount of time, even if it's really long, like our lives might seem long, maybe 100 years might seem very long, but compared to eternal, it's nothing. It's like a tiny microsecond. Yeah. So we can wake up to the eternal reality of our existence. Yeah. And that's great. It gives you a real sense of like relief. It gives you a sense of just, like confidence. Like everything's going to be okay because I'm eternal, Like people generally, you ask somebody, are you afraid of death? They might say no. Apparently 50% of people are not afraid of death. But it just adds this sort of element of like uneasiness. Like there's kind of like a something looming over you. It's going to happen. There's that uncertainty. Like what happens after death, so on and so forth. But if you start connecting with that eternal reality, if you have a spiritual awakening, and it's not a theoretical thing, it's not like, oh, now I understand, like intellectually, philosophically. No, you experience the spiritual reality, by mantra, by spiritual sound. You reawaken through spiritual sound. The name of God, the spiritual sound of the name of God. I mentioned Om. Om is a sound that is the impersonal representation of God. It's also a spiritual sound. But names of God, Krishna, Christ, Rama, Jehovah, Allah, these are names of God. And that sound of God's name, that is spiritual sound that can connect you to your spiritual reality. Yeah. If someone's sleeping, how do you wake them up? Let's say you can't touch somebody, right? You cannot reach them, you cannot shake them, okay? All their senses are sleeping. They cannot be woken up by smell, generally. They cannot be, unless you hold like that, I don't know what it is, right against their nose, but like the normal smells, they're not going to wake up from it. That's why fires are so dangerous at night. And that's why you have to have a smoke detector. Because you won't smell the smoke of the fire. It will not wake you up. So your sense of smell is sleeping. Obviously you can't see anything. Sense of touch to a certain degree is even sleeping. Sometimes you can't touch somebody while they're sleeping. They won't wake up. But the hearing, the sense of hearing is awake. A loud noise, or any noise. Sometimes people are light sleepers. They wake up very easily. So in the same way with our material sleep and our spiritual sleep, that we are sleeping, we have to wake up to that spiritual reality. That is possible through sound. And that spiritual sound is God's name. Yeah. So you can try that. I've been doing it for 28 years. And I'm waking up. I've experienced it. I've experienced some wakefulness. And it's gradual, that you don't just stay awake. You can stay awake, and that's the goal. But you wake up a little bit at a time. You have spiritual experiences. And those spiritual experiences are very powerful, because you're experiencing your spiritual nature, the joy that's there eternally, Satchit Ananda. Understanding eternality is very difficult to explain it, but you can experience it. You can feel like, yes, I understand now that I'm eternal. These things are not easy to explain, but they can be experienced, and those are sort of woke moments. Yeah, being actually woke means being spiritually conscious. So when you're starting the process, you have moments of being awake, but then it goes back down, and you get sort of pulled down into the material consciousness again, into the ignorance. But the aim is to stay up, and to stay up for longer and longer and longer. Stay awake for longer and longer and longer at a time. And ultimately you can just stay awake completely, in the sense that your consciousness can remain on the spiritual platform. And at that time, you can still work and have a family and earn an income and take care of all your duties on the material realm. But you'll be able to understand the reality of the situation better and clearly and constantly. You'll be able to put it in perspective. Yeah. And see it. Okay, this is my material experience, but I'm a spiritual being, and I'm working towards this, and I have my meditation time, and that's my me time, my real me time, for the spiritual me, the eternal me. Yeah. And yeah. So as I said, I'm not there yet. I've read about that, but I've had experiences. I have had experiences of being spiritually awake and understanding my own spiritual nature. Yeah, and that's powerful. So if you'd like more guidance on how to do that, then drop me a message. Click on the link in the description, and I can guide you through how to start and how to progress in waking up spiritually.